Hello, fellow patriots, and welcome back to another episode of Red Rights and You. Today, we're taking a closer look at the great flip flop of American politics. We'll dive into how, over the past 50 years, the Democratic and Republican parties have transformed into almost entirely different creatures. It's like they swapped costumes at a Halloween party and never swapped back. Now, spoiler alert, the Democrats are the ones in the rainbow unicorn outfits now. And we're not entirely sure what Republicans are wearing, but they sure miss their Reagan suits. Now, step right up, folks, because if you think politics is a circus today, wait until you hear how we got here. Let's start with the Democrats, bless their liberal hearts. The Democrats have gone from workers to wokeness. Once upon a time, these folks were the party of the working man, the blue collar heroes, the let's build stuff and make America work again crowd. You remember the unions, steel workers, people covered in sweat and actual work experience. Now, now they're all about making sure you know that words can hurt and we must never offend anyone. And oh, by the way, if you're not riding an electric scooter to work, you're killing the planet. How did we get here? It wasn't always this way. I mean, go back to the 1960s. The Democrats were pushing civil rights, anti Vietnam protests, and labor rights. They were all about equality and giving power to the people. They sounded tough. Then, somewhere along the line, maybe after a few too many lattes in coastal cafes, they thought, you know what would go well with this? Pronoun policing and identity politics. From Roosevelt to woke speak. Now, Roosevelt was out there fighting the Great Depression and winning World War II. Now, the modern Democratic Party seems to be fighting over who can be offended first on social media. There's more passion in Silicon Valley than on the factory floor. Even Bill Clinton, remember him? Good old Bill from Arkansas. He played the saxophone, for crying out loud. He was pro business, balanced budgets, and generally wanted to govern from the middle. If he ran today, he'd probably be kicked out of his own party for being too conservative. And don't even get me started on JFK. That guy cut taxes. Today, suggesting a real tax cut in the Democratic Party would probably get you a stern lecture from a 19-year-old on TikTok about how capitalism is a toxic power structure. I guess the Democrats decided somewhere along the way that progress means never-ending protests about, well, anything. If they don't have something to be outraged about, they don't know what to do with themselves. Now let's talk about the Republicans, our beloved GOP. If the Democrats swapped out their blue-collar roots for soy milk and yoga mats, the Republicans swapped out their old-school country club exclusivity for, well, populism and Truth Social. I bet the old Rockefeller Republicans didn't see this coming. Way back in the day, Republicans were all about big business, lower taxes, and please, for the love of capitalism, don't let the government near my money. You know, things we still like, but man, the culture? It was so buttoned up back then. You had to wear a suit and tie just to mow your lawn. But now, fast forward to today, and we've got Republicans who'd rather own the libs than cut regulations. It's less bring back manufacturing jobs and more how many responses to liberal political posts can I get in there before breakfast? The party went through a bit of a personality crisis, if we're being honest. On one hand, you had your classic Reagan Republicans, lower taxes, smaller government, freedom for businesses, and of course, an intense hatred of the Soviet Union. But then enter the populist wave. It started as a ripple with Pat Buchanan, then surged with Ross Perot, who I'm still convinced was just an eccentric billionaire who got bored. But nothing compared to the current Maga tidal wave. Now Republicans are giving speeches in blue jeans and boots, rallying the working class and complaining about the same elites they once dined with at country clubs. It's kind of like if the guys from Duck Dynasty suddenly decided they wanted to run the world's largest hedge fund. Gone are the days when you could just stand for low taxes and call it a day. Now you've got to declare a full-on culture war on school curriculum and defend your right to drive a gas-guzzling truck while eating a steak the size of Texas. Now, how in the world did these two parties end up switching places like this? What's that old saying? Politics makes strange bedfellows. Yeah, well, it also makes for some confusing political parties. Part of it is generational. The Democrats picked up the youth vote, and that brought with it a ton of progressive ideas. Think of it as the party getting a makeover from their college age kids. Here, mom and dad, you need to look more hip and less like you're from the Eisenhower era. And Republicans? Well, the base changed. They got fed up with the country club politicians who only cared about lowering taxes for their millionaire buddies. The people wanted a voice. And when they found one, they didn't care if that voice was, well, loud and brash. So now we've got Republicans who'll fight tooth and nail for the forgotten worker, which used to be the Democrats' job. And we've got Democrats telling workers that they need to retrain for coding jobs from their home offices in California. So here we are. The Democratic Party went from the home of the working man to the home of, well, people who worship celebrities, taking everything they say as gospel. And the Republican Party went from stuffy country club elites to the people who'd rather talk about school choice and border security than the stock market. Now, will the parties keep changing? Who knows? But if they do, you'll hear about it right here on Red Rights and You. Thanks for listening today, folks. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and remember, stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. God bless you all, and God bless America.